Today, we're tackling a subject that's been making headlines for decades: global warming. But here's the twist. We're not just going to talk about the usual narrative. We're diving into a book that's turning the climate change debate on its head. Why scientists disagree about global warming. The NIPCC Report on Scientific Consensus by Craig Idso, Robert M. Carter, and S. Fred Singer. Buckle up, because this is going to be an eye-opening ride. Let's start with the basics. The Non-Governmental International Panel on Climate Change, or NIPCC, has been challenging the mainstream narrative on climate change for years. Their report, Climate Change Reconsidered, is a 400-page behemoth that offers a compelling counter-narrative to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, which has long been considered the authority on climate science. The NIPCC report raises some serious questions about the IPCC's transparency and credibility. Remember the 2009 ClimateGate scandal? Emails from the Climatic Research Unit at the University of East Anglia revealed scientists trying to hide flaws, exclude skeptics, and withhold data. The NIPCC report uses this as a jumping-off point to argue that the IPCC's conclusions are not as rock-solid as they claim to be. But it's not just about scandals. The NIPCC report also highlights the complexities and uncertainties in climate science that are often overlooked. They argue that a warmer world could actually be safer and healthier for humans and wildlife, citing reduced winter deaths and potential benefits to plant growth and medicinal plant production. They even suggest that society's ability to adapt to climate change is underestimated. Now let's talk about the infamous 97% consensus. You've probably heard this statistic thrown around a lot. It's the idea that 97% of scientists agree that climate change is man-made and dangerous. But the NIPCC report argues that this claim is misleading and lacks scientific grounding. For instance, Naomi Oreskes' 2004 paper, which is often cited as proof of the consensus, only found 75% agreement with the IPCC's position. And subsequent studies, like the one by Klaus-Martin Schulte, found that less than half of the papers reviewed actually supported this consensus. The NIPCC report goes even further, suggesting that the true percentage of scientists endorsing the consensus view is significantly lower than advertised. The report also criticizes the methodology of these studies, arguing that they often rely on flawed surveys and abstract counting exercises that don't accurately reflect the scientific community's views. For example, the Doran and Zimmerman paper, which claimed 97% of climate scientists agree, was debunked for its biased sample selection and irrelevant questions. So what does the science actually say? The NIPCC report offers a detailed survey of the physical science of global warming based on their previous work. Here are some key points. Atmospheric carbon dioxide. CO2 is a mild greenhouse gas that exerts a diminishing warming effect as its concentration increases. Doubling its concentration would likely cause a warming of about 0.3 degrees Celsius to 1.1 degrees Celsius. Natural variability. Earth's temperature has fluctuated naturally throughout history. The current warming trend is not unprecedented and falls within the bounds of natural variability. Solar forcings. Solar activity plays a significant role in climate change. Variations in solar radiation can have a greater impact on climate than previously recognized. Climate models. The models used by the IPCC are flawed. They overestimate climate sensitivity to CO2, poorly model forcings and feedbacks, and exclude factors that contradict their findings. Policy implications. The NIPCC argues that the net effect of warming and rising CO2 levels is likely to be beneficial, challenging the IPCC's economic impact assessments. The NIPCC report also delves into why scientists disagree about global warming. Here are some of the reasons. Interdisciplinary nature of climate science. Climate science is a complex field that requires insights from multiple disciplines. Very few scholars have mastery over more than one or two of these areas. Scientific uncertainties. Fundamental uncertainties arise from insufficient observational evidence, disagreements over data interpretation, and model parameter settings. Agenda-driven science. The IPCC, being a political rather than scientific body, is predisposed to finding a human impact on global climate. This agenda-driven approach undermines its credibility. Human bias. Climate scientists, like all humans, can be biased due to careerism, grant-seeking, political views, and confirmation bias. The authors of the NIPCC report call for a more open and honest debate about climate change. They argue that the current narrative, which often stifles dissenting views, is not conducive to scientific progress. They advocate for policymakers to seek advice from independent, non-government organizations and scientists who are free of financial and political conflicts of interest. Ultimately, the NIPCC report suggests that the best approach to climate change is adaptation. Rather than investing in costly and potentially ineffective mitigation strategies, they argue that we should focus on preparing for and adapting to extreme climate events and changes, regardless of their origin. And there you have it, folks. The NIPCC report offers a fresh perspective on the climate change debate, challenging the mainstream narrative and inviting us to rethink our approach to this complex issue. Whether you agree or disagree, one thing is clear: the debate is far from over. So, let's keep the conversation going and strive for a deeper understanding of the science behind climate change. Thank you for tuning in to the BrightLearn podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends. And don't forget to check out the full NIPCC report for a more in-depth analysis. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book Why Scientists Disagree About Global Warming, the NIPCC Report on Scientific Consensus by Craig Idso, Robert M. Carter, and S. Fred Singer. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.